So the Falcons signed DJ Chark. I have no either or about this signing. I was thinking that he was going to be signed by the Falcons maybe about a year or two ago. I remember him coming out of Detroit, and when he was coming out of Detroit, a lot of people thought that he could be number two to, Drake London, and that was the thing. And it would have been nice to have him then, and it's not a bad thing to have him now. But I was thinking like after you done got Mooney, you got a couple other guys like Nick Nash. You still got Casey Washington. I don't know how well those guys are holding up, but apparently this was a move that the Falcons wanted to make. And, I'm all for it. More bodies, much better. I think that is pretty good at the end of the day. I don't know where he will fit. He's at 6'3", 200 pounds, really good size. You could put him on the opposite side of Drake London, put Mooney in the slot, but you still got Ray Ray. You got a lot of weapons. We've always had the weapons to do great things for the past maybe for at least 5 years, but we just never was able to put it together. Maybe this will be the year with Michael Penix under center, and you got the running backs, and you always had the offensive line. So when you add somebody like this, I think it would be pretty, solid. I was kind of like a drop-off year in 2024. I think he was injured. I looked to see, but I couldn't find anything. But with him only having 4 catches last year, something had to be up in my opinion. So I think that he can get back to that year when he had 500 yards receiving easily within this offense if he's implemented. I don't know how that will fit, like I said, with Ray Ray and Mooney, and you still got Kyle Pitts. You still got a couple other guys who are trying to make the team that probably will make the team. So I'm looking at this from a standpoint to like, all right, you got more weapons. Anything that'll help Michael Penix will be a good thing. I'm not against it, but I really would have liked to see this guy in a uniform for the Falcons maybe like a year ago. I thought he was like one of the big free agent signings that we could have had when we really needed a number 2. But all is well. There's nothing to really trip on. I'm okay with this, and hopefully that he will be implemented properly. And with Zach Robinson in the offense, see how they do. Now the other thing I want to talk about is the Eagles. Georgia Southern has 9 Eagles picked as preseason Sun Belt. All Sun Belt Conference. So this is nothing really new. We knew this for probably about the last year or so that we had like a really talented and experienced team, and most of those guys just continue to stay with the Eagles. So you're starting to see like a lot of these guys' names being shown more because we're like the veteran team in the Sun Belt. We have like a lot of seniors, a lot of juniors, and we had a really good transfer come in with Brendan Harrington. He's a part of this list, and it's just going to show us that this team has the potential to be on top of the Sun Belt. I mean, we were like a game away last year, and you still got all these guys coming in, and you got guys that are being retained. It should be no surprise. So they're slated to fit in the second in the East, and all this stuff is on paper. But at the end of the day, you're still looking at like, we can still do this. You know what I mean? We can still do this. This could be a thing. So real quick, let's talk about the players that are actually being touted as all Sun Belt teams. 7 of them are the first team, 2 on the second team. First player that we're going to look at, Latrell Bullard, Caleb Cook. So those guys are on the offensive line. Like I said, we have like the most experienced offensive line in the Sun Belt, I think, especially in that interior. Latrell Bullard's on the defensive line, and Caleb Cook is on the offensive line. Latrell Bullard's always been a guy that's basically been that anchor in the defensive tackle side, so he's going to be really good. Caleb Cook, like I said, with him, Pashawn Wembley, which is another guy that's being touted on the offensive line. This is one thing that I really want to know about what the offense is going to be like, because that offensive line got to protect J.C. French. You want him to be able to stand in the pocket and throw the ball. And that's one thing about J.C. French last year. He got injured a couple times. I know he tried to run or whatever, but you don't want him getting beat around or whatever. But the interior offense of the offensive line is like really the main strength. And there's nothing to take away from, the tackles or whatever. I think those guys are absolutely awesome as well. But when you look at that interior line, you look at a Pashawn Wembley and, guys like that, we're going to be able to see how they're going to be able to keep J.C. French upright, as well as the guys running the ball. You got O.J. Arnold, you got Terrence Gibbs, you got these guys as well. So it's going to be really interesting. Now, you look at the other guys that are being touted, Chase Gamble, he's always been a really good, solid guy on the in the secondary. Even with injured arm, he was able to do some things when we played last year. Got an interception when we played against Ole Miss. Got a couple of good plays throughout the season as well. So good to have him back. Brennan Harrington is a defensive linebacker from Appalachian State. He's coming in and really going to be the guy I think that could take the place of what Marquise Watson Trent was able to put together last year. He's one of those guys that you don't want to lose. He ends up going to Nebraska. Hopefully he does well over there. And with Brendan Harrington coming in, you want to see him actually just continue that role with him being a 6 year, I think he's like a 6 year, 7th year senior. You want to see that. And it's good to get somebody from the ops, you know what I'm saying? You want to get a guy from Appalachian State to come over here and be an Eagle. Just throw a little salt in that wound, Alex Smith, excellent punter. He did some good things, actually did well ever since he's been on the team. Great job of him being on special teams. And Pachon Wimley, can't say much about him. Ever since he's been a freshman, he's been one of those guys that basically, got into the trenches and made things happen. Very good. And I think he's going to have a very decorated, career at Georgia Southern once it's all said and done. I mean, he's been down in the trenches since a freshman. And, now he's a senior. We watched him grow for all this time. And now, he's one of those guys, top all Sun Belt guys. The other two guys that got the second team, Dalen Cobb, you really want to talk about him. And I'm going to go back to talk about the other receiver, Josh Dallas, which I missed as well. But when you got Dalen Cobb at second, kind of could be like a snub. I mean, he's capable of being, first team all Sun Belt easily. But when you got guys that are, all over the place throughout the Sun Belt, which is a very talented, a talented conference, there's only so much can go around. But I could see him being first or second. Can't beat that. Josh Dallas, what can you say about Josh Dallas? I mean, goodness. First team, first team junior wide receiver, all Sun Belt. Really made a name for himself last year. Great plays, one good play against the Georgia State Panthers. Great play, one of my favorite plays of the season. Also, the touchdown that he caught in the bowl game against Sam Houston, and all the other things that he's done throughout the last season. Well worth it. Well, good shot of getting him that acclamation is well worth it, and is just due. So with him being there as well, with Dalen Cobb at second team, and that just goes to show you that this offense has a lot of weapons. You look at guys like Caleb Cook, OJ Arnold, Josh Dallas, and you got the other guys that are coming in. The guy from Auburn coming in, Brown. You also have a couple other receivers that can make it happen as well. You would think it was somewhat of a drop-off, losing some players, but, like Derwin Burgess or whatever. But when you really look at it, Coach Clay Helton has been doing great in recruiting. I mean, there's no denying that. He's been doing a fantastic job. And now you're starting to see the guys that are continuously being like the leaders that are been around for a while, and the recruiting that he's done. And like pretty much every single guy that's here outside of, I want to say, Brendan Harrington and Tracy Hill, those are Coach Clay Helton guys, but still Coach Clay Helton had to do something to get these guys here, the transfer guys. So it all worked out. Last but not least, Tracy Hill, defensive back. Once again, you got Chase Gamble. You got Chase Gamble and you got Tracy Hill. Both guys are defensive backs, are being touted as all Sun Belt. Like I said, the talent is there. It's all there. So to me, I look at it like this. There's no excuse at the end of the day when you are saying this team could win 8 games. There's no excuse that you can say this guy could win 10 or 11 games. These guys very well may well be. I mean, Fresno State, you're going out there to play them, and that's going to be a tough task. But then again, Nevada was a tough team, and we ended up beating them. Anything can happen when you're out there. USC, you just never know. So when you go out there, if you could, like I said in the last video, if you could split those games in California and beat James Madison, you're looking at a team that could possibly go, 11-1. You really can, because the Sun Belt is wide open. It is talented, but I feel like we have the most talented team. And you look at all these guys that are projected to be, that are preseason all Sun Belt. It just shows you that we do have that type of team. So it's going to be really interesting. Shout out to DJ Chark. He's Eagle now. He's a Falcon now. and you also get to see what the Eagles are actually putting together. It looks like both teams, the Falcons and the Eagles, could be on their way of doing some pretty decent things this season. I would like to see at least both teams be over 500. We got one team that's over 500 this year. Last year with the Eagles, and the Falcons was one game under. So I think at the bare minimum, you get these guys over 500, get these guys in the postseason play. Hopefully, the Eagles can get into the Sun Belt title game, and the Falcons, they should be able to make the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes, but you got to take it one game at a time, right? So we'll see how it goes. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm going to get out of here. Go Eagles, go Falcons. We'll see how it goes. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.